There comes a moment in every life when staying the same becomes more painful than changing. A moment when the version of you that has survived until now is no longer the version that can take you where you want to go. You feel it, a heaviness, a tension, a quiet voice whispering that something inside you must die so something stronger can be born. This is not motivation. This is evolution. This is the part of your life where you stop negotiating with your potential and start tearing down everything that has kept you small. The weak you, the hesitant you, the undisciplined you, the version that apologizes for wanting more. That version has reached its limit. It cannot come with you into the future. To grow, you must burn. To rise, you must let the old identity collapse. To rebuild, you must be willing to walk alone, confront yourself, and destroy every habit, every belief, and every excuse that chained you to who you used to be. This is your breaking point and your rebirth. From this moment on, you are no longer waiting for change. You are forcing it. You are no longer hoping life gets better. You are becoming the kind of person who makes it better. And once you step into this path, there is no return. The bridge behind you is ashes. The old you is gone. What remains is the raw material of a stronger, sharper, unrecognizable version of yourself. Welcome to your transformation. Let's begin. Every transformation begins with a moment. Not the moment you succeed, not the moment you rise, but the moment you realize you can no longer continue as the person you've been. This moment doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives quietly in a breath you can't catch, in a night you can't sleep, in a truth you can no longer avoid. You begin to feel a heaviness, a pressure inside your chest, a silent frustration that whispers, I can't live like this anymore. This is the trigger, the breaking point, the threshold between the life you've tolerated and the life you were meant to build. Most people never change because the pain of staying the same hasn't hit them hard enough yet. They linger in jobs that drain them, relationships that shrink them, habits that destroy them, not because they enjoy it, but because the discomfort is familiar. And familiarity can feel safer than growth. But eventually, something snaps. Maybe it's the moment you wake up and feel tired of your own excuses. Maybe it's realizing you've broken promises to yourself more times than you can count. Maybe it's catching your reflection in the mirror and seeing a version of you that has been stuck for far too long. Or maybe it's nothing dramatic at all. Maybe it's simply a quiet understanding. If I don't change now, I never will. The trigger moment is powerful because it's honest. It forces you to confront the truth that the life you have is a reflection of the identity you've maintained. And if you want a new life, you must outgrow the identity that built the old one. The pain you feel in this moment is not punishment. It's information. It's your future calling you forward. It's your potential revolting against your limitations. That inner pressure you feel, it's not stress. It's misalignment, the distance between who you are and who you know you could become. Transformation begins when that distance becomes unbearable. This is where the old identity starts to crack. You begin to see your habits for what they are, anchors, not foundations. You see your excuses for what they became, barriers, not reasons. You see your past not as a place to return to, but a place you must escape. Most people try to numb this moment. They drown it in distraction, entertainment, or noise, because facing it requires honesty, and honesty demands change. But the ones who transform, they listen to the pain. They sit with it. They study it. They let it burn away the illusions that kept them comfortable. Because this moment of discomfort, This moment when staying the same becomes more painful than changing is the birthplace of every new identity. The truth is simple. Your future doesn't begin when things get better. Your future begins when you decide you deserve better. This decision is not dramatic. It's not loud. It's quiet, firm, internal. It's the decision to stop betraying yourself. It's the decision to stop negotiating with your potential. It's the decision to walk away from the version of you that has survived but has never truly lived. This is the turning point. Not because your circumstances shift instantly, but because you do. Your standards rise. Your tolerance for excuses drops. Your hunger grows. Your patience for mediocrity collapses. Your identity begins to evolve long before your environment catches up. This is the moment everything changes, not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you finally choose to stop living small. The old you begins to die here, and the new you begins to breathe. There is a point in your transformation where reflection is no longer enough, where awareness alone cannot save you, where you must do something far more drastic. You must burn the bridges to the identity that held you small, not distance yourself from it, not slowly outgrow it. Burn it. Because the most dangerous prison is the one built from your own familiar habits, the routine you complain about yet continue living, the mindset you know is limiting but still obey, the identity that has expired yet you continue to carry. The old self is comfortable, predictable, safe, and that's exactly why it must die. You cannot create a new life while keeping a doorway back to the old one. If you leave even one bridge standing, your mind will return to it the moment discipline becomes uncomfortable. Burning the bridges means accepting a hard truth: you have outgrown who you used to be. The doubts that once defined you, the people who never believed in you, the habits that drained your potential, the excuses that became your personality, all of it must go. Because the identity that kept you small will fight to survive. It will whisper, stay where it's familiar. It will tempt you with old patterns. It will lure you back into the life that made you miserable but predictable. You must respond with fire. Burn the habits that shaped your weakness. Burn the routines that kept you average. Burn the self-talk that convinced you to settle. Burn the stories you've repeated so many times you began to mistake them for truth. Burn everything that pulls you backward. People often imagine transformation as adding something new, new habits, new mindset, new discipline. But the real turning point is subtraction. It's destruction. It's the deliberate killing of everything that cannot coexist with your future. You cannot become disciplined while keeping the habits of a procrastinator. You cannot become confident while repeating the language of insecurity. You cannot create a powerful identity while carrying the weight of your past one. Your old self must be cut off at the root. This is why burning bridges matters. It removes the option to return. It forces the new identity to grow because survival depends on it. When there is no path back, the only direction left is forward. This is the psychology of true reinvention. When you eliminate the safety net, your mind awakens, your focus sharpens, your drive intensifies. You stop playing with change and start committing to it. And yes, it will feel lonely. Growth often requires isolation because the people who knew the old you will not always support the new you. Some will doubt you. Some will challenge you. Some will quietly hope you return to who you used to be because your evolution reminds them of their stagnation. Walk away anyway. You do not need their belief. You need your commitment. Burning the bridges also means releasing guilt. Guilt keeps you loyal to identities you've outgrown. Guilt convinces you that you owe something to the past. But you owe nothing to the person you were except gratitude for surviving long enough to let the new you grow. Forgive that old self and then bury it. Burn the bridge. Close the chapter. Seal the exit. Because the version of you that is rising cannot be built on foundations that kept you small. You are not here to return to who you used to be. You are here to evolve into someone you have never met before. And evolution always begins with fire. There comes a stage in every rebirth where the path ahead narrows so narrow that only one person can walk through it, you. Transformation is not a group activity. Growth is not a team sport. Rebuilding yourself requires a level of solitude most people spend their entire lives running away from. But solitude is not punishment. It is initiation. When you walk alone, the world stops distracting you. The noise fades. The expectations disappear. And for the first time, you hear the truth of who you are and who you must become. Most people fear being alone because silence exposes their unhealed parts. It brings their insecurities to the surface. It forces them to confront the thoughts they've been avoiding, so they stay surrounded not because they crave company, but because they fear themselves. But real transformation demands the opposite. You must enter the quiet. You must face your own reflection without distortion. You must sit with your fears long enough to understand them, your doubts long enough to outgrow them, and your potential long enough to believe in it. Solitude is the forge where the weak identity burns away and a stronger one is formed. When you walk alone, you stop seeking validation. You stop asking for permission. You stop waiting for someone to save you. You become your own source of strength, your own leader, your own standard. Silence sharpens you. While others drown in distraction, you learn to listen to your intuition. While others chase approval, you learn to trust your judgment. While others fill their time with meaningless noise, you build focus, depth, and certainty. The strongest people you admire, the visionaries, the athletes, the creators, the leaders, all walked alone long before anyone walked with them. Before the applause, there was isolation. Before the recognition, there was silence. Before the success, there was a long season of building in the shadows where no one was watching, no one was clapping, and no one believed in the vision but them. Lone wolves are not born. They are shaped. Shaped by nights of questioning everything, by mornings where discipline replaced motivation, by days where the only voice pushing them forward was their own. Solitude builds a special kind of strength, the kind that doesn't collapse under pressure because it was forged under pressure. When you walk alone, you become dangerous, not to others, but to your old limitations, to your past identity, to every belief that told you you weren't enough. Walking alone also reveals the truth about the people around you. Those who drain you will fall away. Those who never supported you will distance themselves. Those who feared your growth will show their discomfort. And those who are meant to continue with you will respect your silence and grow alongside it. Not everyone is meant to walk with you, and that is not a loss. That is alignment. Your path is not wide enough for every old friend, every old habit, every old version of you. Walking alone is not loneliness. It is elevation. It is choosing your future over your comfort. It is choosing your purpose over approval. It is choosing your evolution over fitting in. And when the world finally sees your results, they will assume you transformed overnight. They will never understand that the change happened in the quiet. In the shadows, in the solitude, you refuse to fear. So walk alone, not because you must, but because greatness requires it. Your life is not controlled by fate, luck, or outside forces. Your life is controlled by your programming, the thoughts you repeat, the beliefs you inherited, the identity you've rehearsed for years without even realizing it. Before you can rebuild yourself, you must reset the mind that created the old you. Most people try to change their actions while keeping the same programming. They try new habits, new routines, new goals, but the internal software is outdated, corrupted, and slow. And no matter how much effort they put in, the old programming pulls them back. This is why change feels impossible, because you are trying to build a new life with an old operating system. The mind reset begins with this truth. Your thoughts are not facts. Your beliefs are not destiny. Your identity is not permanent. Everything inside you can be rewritten. Your programming was built over years by teachers, parents, friends, failures, traumas, moments that made you doubt yourself, and experiences that taught you to shrink. But none of that is who you are. It is only who you learn to be. To reset the mind, you must separate your identity from your conditioning. Most people live according to 3 layers of programming. Layer 1, thoughts the surface level. These are the daily loops. I'm not enough. I always mess up. This is too hard. These things never work for me. Thoughts feel small. But repeated thoughts become beliefs. To reset this layer, you must interrupt the loop. Catch the thought. Question it. Replace it with something stronger. A single upgraded thought repeated consistently can begin to crack the foundation of your old identity. Layer 2, beliefs, the internal architecture. Beliefs are powerful because you rarely question them. You simply obey them. Beliefs like, I'm not the disciplined type. No one will understand me. I'm not meant for success. People like me don't win. These beliefs are not true. They're familiar. And familiarity feels safe even when it destroys you. To reset your beliefs, you must introduce new evidence. Small wins, small changes, small actions taken consistently. Belief shifts when your behavior contradicts the story you've lived in. You don't need massive success to change a belief. You only need proof that another version of you exists. Layer 3, identity. The deepest level identity is the blueprint of your life. It is the silent command that shapes your behavior. I am this kind of person. This is what I do. This is who I'll always be. Identity is not changed by motivation. It is changed by repetition. Every time you act like the future version of yourself, you reinforce a new identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you rewrite the code. Every time you refuse to return to old habits, you weaken the old self. Identity shifts slowly. Then suddenly, one day you wake up and realize you no longer think the way you used to, no longer react the way you used to, no longer see yourself as the person you used to be. That is the mind reset. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is a quiet rewiring of your inner world until the old programming loses all authority over your life. Resetting your mind does not mean forgetting your past. It means refusing to let it dictate your future. The old programming was built by survival. The new programming must be built by intention. Discipline becomes the keyboard. Repetition becomes the code. Action becomes the proof. Identity becomes the outcome. You are not at war with your mind. You are upgrading it. Eliminate the thoughts that no longer serve you. Challenge the beliefs that once controlled you. Replace the identity that kept you small with one powerful enough to carry the life you want. This is how you erase the old programming. This is how you build a mind strong enough for the future you are stepping into. There is a law in life that cannot be negotiated. Comfort destroys potential. Pain builds it. Not the pain of drama, not the pain of chaos, but the deliberate, chosen pain of discipline, the pain of doing the hard thing when every part of you wants the easy one. Most people never transform because they worship comfort. They want a new life, a new identity, a new level, but they want to feel good while getting it. They want growth without sacrifice, strength without struggle, confidence without challenge. It doesn't work that way. Every version of you that is powerful, focused, unshakable, that version is built through hard things. Your mind was designed for challenge. Your body was built for resistance. Your identity evolves when you choose the path most people avoid, because comfort is seductive. Comfort whispers, "Stay here. It's easy." But easy is expensive. Easy costs you your future. Easy robs you of your strength. Easy keeps you loyal to a version of yourself you've already outgrown. Pain, on the other hand, is honest. Pain reveals where your limits are. Pain exposes your weaknesses so you can build them into strengths. Pain collapses the old identity and forces a stronger one to rise. When you choose hard things, you signal to your subconscious mind, "I am no longer the old me. I am someone new, someone stronger, someone disciplined." This is how identity shifts. Not through affirmations, not through inspiration, but through action that proves you are no longer living at the level of your past self. Here is the law. Your new life costs your old one. Your new identity costs your comfort. You cannot escape this exchange. Every morning you wake up, you make a choice, the pain of progress or the pain of regret. One pain makes you stronger. The other makes you smaller. Your brain has a mechanism called adaptation. When you lift heavy weights, the muscle breaks just enough to grow back stronger. When you expose yourself to cold, your nervous system becomes more resilient. When you practice discipline daily, your brain rewires itself to make the hard thing feel normal. This is neuroplasticity. This is identity formation. This is how new versions of you are born. The law of hard things is biological, psychological, spiritual. It operates on every level of your being. Comfort keeps you soft. Challenge makes you sharp. Think about the people you admire: leaders, creators, athletes, warriors, builders. They are not remarkable because of talent. They are remarkable because they voluntarily walked into difficulty and refused to retreat. They did the thing others avoided. They mastered the task others complained about. They endured the pain others ran from. And the world saw the result, not the struggle. The truth is, transformation requires discomfort. Reinvention requires sacrifice. Elevation requires resistance. But the pain you choose gives you power, focus, direction, self-respect. Every time you choose the hard thing, you grow. Your standards rise. Your mind hardens. Your old excuses become irrelevant. Your old self loses control. This is why the law of hard things matters. It separates those who want change from those who become change. You are not being punished by pain. You are being shaped by it, forged by it, prepared by it, and one day, the hard thing you dread today will become the easiest part of your life because you will no longer be the same person doing it. The hard thing doesn't get easier. You get stronger. That is the law. And if you let it sculpt you, there is no version of you that you cannot become. When people talk about transformation, they imagine big moments, breakthroughs, awakenings, sudden clarity. But real transformation is not dramatic. It is repetitive. It is quiet. It is built in the small, disciplined actions you perform every single day. Your routine is not just a schedule. It is the ritual that programs your identity. The old you had rituals too, rituals of procrastination, rituals of distraction, rituals of emotional avoidance, rituals that reinforce the identity you are trying to destroy. To build the new you must create rituals powerful enough to override your old programming and strong enough to anchor the identity you are becoming. And here is the truth. A disciplined routine is not about productivity. It is about identity alignment. Every action you repeat becomes a vote for the person you want to be. Every task you complete is evidence that the new self is taking control. Every small win is a message to your subconscious, this is who I am now. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistency. Because consistency rewires the brain. Consistency builds neural pathways. Consistency turns effort into nature and discipline into instinct. Your unbreakable routine begins with 3 pillars. Pillar 1, the morning reset. Set the identity for the day. The first minutes of your morning decide your mental temperature. Most people begin their day in reaction, checking notifications, absorbing noise, falling into stress before they even stand up. You cannot rebuild yourself while starting your day in chaos. Your morning must become a ritual of identity, a moment of solitude, a breath of intention, a grounding thought like I choose discipline today. I move as the future version of myself. I am not negotiating with the old me. This is not affirmation. This is calibration. It sets the direction you walk in long before action begins. Pillar 2, the daily non-negotiables, actions that define who you are. Your life changes when your non-negotiables change. These are the tasks you complete no matter how you feel, the habits that shape discipline, the actions that strengthen self-respect, the commitments that build inner power. It could be training your body. It could be reading. It could be building your craft. It could be practicing stillness. It could be confronting a fear. It could be eliminating distractions. What matters is not the size of the task, but the message it sends your identity. When you complete a non-negotiable, you reinforce the narrative, I follow through. I do what I said I would do. I am becoming someone I can trust. Trusting yourself is the foundation of every transformation. Pillar 3, the night audit, identity reinforcement. At the end of each day, you must close the loop, not with guilt, not with judgment, but with clarity. Ask yourself, did I act like the person I'm becoming? What did I do today that strengthened the new identity? What will I improve tomorrow? This nightly audit rewires your subconscious while you sleep, recording the lessons of the day and integrating them into your identity. This is not routine. This is ritual. This is identity construction on a subconscious level. You don't build an unbreakable identity through emotion, motivation, or intensity. You build it through rhythm, a rhythm of discipline, a rhythm of intention, a rhythm of showing up even when the old you whispers excuses. Over time, the routine becomes automatic, not because it is easy, but because you have become someone for whom discipline is natural. This is how the new you is built day by day, habit by habit, choice by choice. And when your routine becomes unbreakable, your identity becomes unstoppable. There is a level of strength beyond discipline, beyond routine, beyond physical endurance. It is the strength of someone who no longer collapses under emotion, someone who feels but is not controlled by feeling. This is emotional untouchability, and it is one of the final steps in destroying the old you. Most people live at the mercy of their emotions. If they feel motivated, they move. If they feel discouraged, they stop. If someone criticizes them, they break. If life gets difficult, they retreat. Their emotions lead. Their actions follow, and their identity suffers. But the person you are becoming, the version of you rising from the ashes, cannot live this way. To rebuild yourself, you must reverse the relationship. Your actions must lead. Your emotions must follow. Being emotionally untouchable does not mean becoming numb. It does not mean suppressing your feelings. It means mastering your reactions. It means deciding what deserves your energy and what no longer has permission to influence your state. Emotional weakness is learned. Emotional strength is trained. Most emotional instability comes from three things. You attach meaning to everything: a look, a comment, a delay, a failure, a moment of discomfort. The old you interprets every event as a personal attack. Every setback feels like a verdict on your worth. Every rejection becomes a reason to quit. The new you must learn neutrality. Not everything has meaning. Not everything deserves interpretation. Not everything is a message about who you are. Sometimes it's just life, and life is allowed to be messy without defining you. Neutrality is emotional power. You react instantly instead of responding intentionally. The old identity was impulsive. It argued. It defended. It panicked. It ran. Reacting is what kept you small. The new identity responds slowly, calmly, with clarity, with intention. When you slow down your reaction, you regain control over your life. Because no one can manipulate a person whose emotions are not easily triggered. You depend on external stability to feel internally stable. Most people need things to go right for them to feel okay. But life does not operate on their terms. Being emotionally untouchable means you carry your stability with you, not dependent on conditions, people, or outcomes. Chaos around you, calm inside you. That is power. Becoming emotionally untouchable requires practice. Practice watching your emotions without merging with them. I feel anger is different from I am angry. I feel fear is different from I am afraid. You are the observer, not the emotion. Practice silence before response. 3 seconds of breathing can prevent 3 months of regret. Practice removing yourself from emotional noise. Not every conversation needs your participation. Not every argument needs your defense. Not every opinion needs your attention. Practice choosing action over feeling. Do what needs to be done even when motivation is absent. This is how you teach your mind that emotion does not control your destiny. When you become emotionally untouchable, the world changes not because it becomes easier, but because you stop giving it permission to break you. People lose their power over you. Circumstances lose their ability to shake you. Fear loses its influence. Doubt loses its voice. Your past loses its grip. You begin to move with a different energy, quiet, steady, unbothered, like someone who knows exactly who they are and where they're going. This is not arrogance. It is mastery. The old you was reactive. The new you is sovereign. And once you reach this level, you become unstoppable, not because nothing can touch you, but because nothing can move you off your path. Destroying the old you is only the first half of the transformation. The real work, the work that separates those who only try from those who actually rebirth themselves, is the work of reinvention. Reinvention is not about improving who you were. It is about creating who you choose to become. Most people try to fix their old identity. They patch the holes, repaint the surface, and hope no one notices the cracks underneath. But you are not here to renovate. You are here to rebuild from zero, from intention, from clarity, from power. When you rebuild yourself, you do it as an architect, not a repairman. And like any architect, you begin with foundation. Decide the identity you are building. Reinvention begins with a simple question. Who must I become to live the life I want? Not who you were, not who others expect you to be, but who your future demands. This identity must be chosen deliberately. A person of discipline, a person of courage, a person of focus, a person of integrity, stability, strength. Write it. Speak it. Visualize it. Identity is not discovered. Identity is constructed. When you know who you're becoming, every action becomes a brick in that structure. Build systems that support the new you. Motivation fades. Emotion shifts. But systems endure. If the old you relied on willpower, the new you relies on structure. Systems are the invisible discipline that protect you on days when your mind is weak. A morning routine that grounds you. A nighttime ritual that resets you. A training schedule that builds your body. A study habit that sharpens your mind. A budget that strengthens your financial life. A content diet that feeds your soul with clarity, not chaos. The old identity was random. The new identity is engineered. Reinvent how you speak to yourself. Self-talk is the software of identity. If you speak to yourself like the old version, you will live like the old version. The new you requires a new internal language. Replace I can't with I'm learning. Replace I always fail with I'm improving. Replace this is impossible with I adapt. I overcome. Your mind believes the voice it hears most. Make sure it's yours. Make sure it's the right one. Reinvent your environment. Identity grows from the soil it is planted in. If your environment is toxic, loud, chaotic, your mind becomes the same. Reinvention requires redesign. Remove the noise that weakens you. Remove the people who drain you. Remove the temptations that sabotage you. Remove the habits that contradict your future. Then add what strengthens you, books that elevate your thinking, spaces that bring calm, routines that build consistency, people who challenge you to rise. A new identity cannot survive in the habitat of the old one. Reinvention requires isolation. There is a phase in every transformation where you must walk alone. This is not loneliness. This is incubation, a period where the world cannot access you, cannot distract you, cannot influence your evolution. Silence is where the new you forms. Solitude is where the new you gains strength. Stillness is where the new you becomes undeniable. Protect this phase. It is sacred. Reinvention is not a moment, it's a practice. You don't wake up one day reborn. You become reborn every day through repetition, intention, and commitment. Every choice is a vote. Every action is proof. Every day is a brick. And eventually, without forcing it, you will look in the mirror and realize the old you has completely disappeared. Not because you hated them, but because you outgrew them. You built someone stronger, wiser, quieter, sharper, more powerful, more aligned, more unshakable. Someone worthy of the life you're building. There is a strange truth about becoming a stronger, rebuilt version of yourself. The path upward often begins with walking alone, not because you dislike people, not because you want isolation, but because transformation requires a level of focus, discipline, and self-honesty that cannot survive in noise. Loneliness is not a weakness. It is a crucible, a refining chamber, a silent arena where the old you dies and the new you is forged. Most people fear being alone. They fill every quiet moment with distraction, social media, entertainment. meaningless conversations, anything to avoid hearing their own thoughts. But the person who is rebuilding themselves must do the opposite. They must step into silence and let it sharpen them. Because in solitude, you learn things no crowd will ever teach you. Loneliness reveals who you truly are. When no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one is validating you, you meet the real you, not the version shaped by opinions, expectations, or social pressure, but the version built from your raw truth. You see your strengths without exaggeration, your weaknesses without excuses, your desires without filters, your fears without avoidance. Most people never meet themselves at this level, but you will, because you choose to. This is where reinvention begins. Loneliness forces self-reliance. When you walk alone, you learn the kind of strength that cannot be gifted, cannot be inherited, cannot be taught by anyone else. You learn to motivate yourself. You learn to comfort yourself. You learn to make decisions without begging for approval. You learn to keep going even when no one cheers. This independence becomes your superpower because once you know you can survive alone, you stop accepting anything that weakens you, weak relationships, weak habits, weak environments. A person who is self-reliant is impossible to control, impossible to manipulate, impossible to break. Loneliness clarifies your priorities. When the noise fades, the truth becomes loud. You recognize who truly matters. You see which dreams are yours and which ones were copied from others. You discover which habits lead you forward and which ones drag you backward. Loneliness gives you vision, and vision gives you direction. Loneliness strengthens emotional resilience. The old you depended on others to feel secure, their attention, their presence, their approval. The new you learns how to build emotional stability internally. You learn to sit with discomfort without escaping. You learn to process your emotions instead of projecting them. You learn to stay calm without needing reassurance. You learn to carry your own peace into every room you enter. This is the core of becoming emotionally untouchable. Because when your emotional world no longer collapses in silence, you become unstoppable in noise. Loneliness accelerates your evolution. Every great transformation in history, spiritual, mental, physical, financial, has required a period of isolation. Monks go to mountains. Athletes go into training camps. Authors retreat to write. Entrepreneurs disappear to build. Silence is not empty. It is full of potential, full of ideas, full of breakthroughs, full of identity shifts that cannot happen in the presence of constant distraction. Your solitude is not punishment. It is preparation. You are not losing people. You are losing the version of yourself who needed them. You aren't being abandoned. You are being upgraded. You aren't alone. You are becoming. The loneliness you feel today is the signal that your life is shifting. Your standards are rising. Your direction is sharpening. Your identity is evolving. And the world around you is adjusting to the person you are becoming. Embrace it. Walk with it. Grow in it. One day, you will look back at this season and realize this was not the most painful chapter. It was the most powerful one. There comes a moment in every transformation when you stop patching the old version of yourself and you begin building a completely new one. Not a slightly improved version, not a polished version, but a version so different, so disciplined, so focused, so powerful that even you barely recognize who you used to be. This is the chapter where rebirth becomes real. This is where your life starts to separate into two eras. Before the transformation and after it, reinvention begins with identity. not habits. Most people try to change their life by changing their behavior, waking up earlier, reading more, exercising, working harder. But true transformation does not start with what you do. It starts with who you believe you are. If you still see yourself as the old you, undisciplined, inconsistent, distracted, you will always return to old patterns. Identity shapes action. Identity shapes discipline. Identity shapes destiny. To become unrecognizable, you must rewrite your identity. I am disciplined. I am focused. I am relentless. I do not negotiate with my goals. The moment you shift how you see yourself, your habits will follow automatically. Reinvention requires deleting the past version of you. The old you cannot come with you into this new life. Every weakness, every excuse, every limitation must be burned away, not managed, not reduced, destroyed. You can't rebuild a skyscraper on the foundation of a broken house. Delete the identity that kept you small, the procrastinator, the people pleaser, the overthinker, the version of you that tolerated mediocrity and called it normal. The new you begins where the old you ends. Rebuilding yourself is an act of war. You are battling your old thoughts, your old habits, your old emotions, your old environment. Reinvention is not peaceful. It is not comfortable. It is not pretty. It is a daily fight. Some days you win loudly. Some days you win quietly. Some days you win by crawling forward 1 inch at a time. But every day you choose discipline over comfort. You carve another piece of the new you, brick by brick, choice by choice, battle by battle. The new you demands new standards. The person you were accepted too little. They accepted low energy, low effort, low commitment, low expectations of themselves. That era ends now. Rebuilding yourself requires raising your standards so high that your old self cannot survive in this environment. You wake up earlier. You train harder. You think deeper. You eliminate excuses faster. You cut off anything that drains your potential. You stop living like a participant in your life and start living like the architect. Reinvention becomes real when consistency becomes your nature, not for a week, not for a month, but long enough that the new habits no longer feel like effort. They feel like identity. You no longer try to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You no longer try to be focused. You are focused. You no longer try to grow. Growth is simply who you are now. This is when the world begins to notice. But more importantly, this is when you begin to notice. You walk differently, think differently, react differently, carry yourself differently. You are becoming unrecognizable, even to yourself. The moment it all clicks, there will come a day when something inside you shifts. Quietly, powerfully, permanently. The old urges will lose their power. The old habits will feel foreign. The old identity will feel like someone else's life. And you will realize something profound. You didn't just change. You transformed. You evolved. You rebuilt. This is the new you, stronger, sharper, clearer, unstoppable. And there is no return to the person you once were, because that version is gone. Listen closely, because this is the part most people never reach. You didn't just finish a video, you finished a version of yourself. The person who once doubted, the person who hesitated, the person who kept waiting for the right moment. That version is gone, burned, buried, replaced. You are not the same person who pressed play. You are sharper. You are stronger. You are more focused. You are reborn. And from this moment forward, everything changes. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you become harder to break. You now carry a mindset that most people will never understand. You walk with a level of discipline that once felt impossible. You rise with a level of power that the old you could not imagine. This is your new beginning. This is your evolution. This is the rebirth of the strongest version of you. But hear this clearly, your transformation only becomes real if you continue the work. One day of power is emotion. A lifetime of discipline is identity. So keep building, keep rising, keep becoming the person the world thought you could never be. You owe that to yourself. You owe that to your future. And the world hasn't seen your final form yet. If this message awakens something in you, if you refuse to go back to the person you used to be, if you're ready to keep rebuilding day after day, subscribe to Hill Mindset Legacy. This is where the new you gets stronger. Like this video to lock in your commitment. Comment, "I'm rebuilding myself so the world knows your transformation has begun." And remember, no one is coming to save you, because you are becoming the person who saves yourself. Welcome to the new you. Welcome to your rise. Welcome to your legacy.